Okay, Divas Championship on the line. AJ Lee versus Paige in the rubber match. This is going to be an excellent match.
This is going to be a sexy match.
I out of most of the card, I think this is one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most. Joe, talk to us about this build because it hasn't really been the best.
No, it hasn't. Although they're trying, if we go all the way back, or not Cameron, what the fuck? Paige beat AJ Lee very abruptly, and Paige went on. We didn't see AJ Lee for a while, and Paige just took over the Divas division, ran through everybody. Awesome. Then all of a sudden, AJ comes back and right away, in a similar fashion to when she lost the title, beat Paige for the title. And then all of a sudden, they're best friends. They're besties. Or what was the phrase that was used last night?
Frenemies.
Frenemies, right. Right. They're friends, but they're going to have to fight. This isn't like Hogan Warrior. They haven't had enough time to build, I think, the frenemies angle. I think they needed more time. They should have started earlier or something, or I don't know. It doesn't seem to have much in the way of legs.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense if you look at how Paige came into WWE as far as the main roster. It did look like they had, the mutual respect, or at least Paige was looking up to AJ. So I kind of see it, but I'm with you. It was very awkward. That was the direction it went. But Nick, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think it's as awkward as we think?
I see what you're saying about not enough time devoted to the build, but that's just a result of the shortened time between Money in the Bank and Battleground. I think there's only been 3 weeks of build as opposed to the usual 4 or 5. I do think that the angle plays well, though, given the fact that we regard AJ and Paige as two of the best divas, not just right now, but in years. And the fact that they're both acknowledging the other's skill, the other's worthiness to be champion, I think it's a natural angle, and I think it's going to lead into the match being conducted as two women with the highest respect for each other, just duking it out to determine who's the best in the world, if you will. I think it's going to be Paige that pulls out the win here, and that might lead to observations of hot potatoing, but I think it's okay when you have two opponents of the caliber that AJ and Paige are. And it's not like they have a ton of other competition in the division anyway. We do have Naomi, who's going to be getting to the picture, hopefully soon. And you could always bring Natalya up from what she's doing in NXT and give her a program for a little while. But outside of those two, there's not really anybody on their level. So if we're going to be having those two duking it out for the foreseeable future, I think it's okay for the definition of who is the best to change on a regular basis, so that it's never really established who actually is the best. You have two up at the top, and that also legitimizes Paige as a serious contender.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. I overall, we always show that we dislike when they hot potato titles. We like to see longer reigns, but if this means that a loss for AJ would mean that we would get Paige versus AJ at SummerSlam, or moving into the fall, I think that's fantastic, and I don't care. That's perfectly fine. While the build was kind of awkward, like Joe was saying, like I had said before, I'm glad that they are going in the direction that they're going, as far as that they both have respect for each other. They both want the title. They're both going to fight for the title, and that's great. I think everything has been great. Sure, it would have been nice to have a little bit more time. I wish AJ didn't take the time off when she did, but we have what we have now, and this is what we've wanted since Paige debuted. So I'm totally into this. My pick is going to go with Paige for that very reason. That I think a win for Paige would mean a rematch at SummerSlam, and this to continue into the fall. Dinosaur Lee, where do you stand on this?
I don't care as long as we get more. I mean, AJ can win, Paige can win. The belt could catch on fire, and then now their next match is the assembly of a new belt. I really don't care. Whatever gets these two in a feud, in a ring, near a ring, around a ring, in an arena, is just good for everybody involved. If I have to pick, and it's so like out of everything on this card, this is the one match where I really have no idea which way to go. But the only reason I'm picking Paige is because. Okay, the only reason I'm picking no contest is because Joe just added it to the doc, and I really like that better than Paige. The only reason I would pick Paige is because I was thinking this frenemy thing that they got going on right now, someone's got to be the first one to turn, and I think that would be Paige over AJ. I think AJ would they just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and Paige would be the first one to really put the hammer down. And for that reason, I think Paige would win, but I don't know. Yeah, Joe, I'm with you. I'm going with no contest.
Joe,
okay, yeah. So I added the no contest to the doc because considering that these are two of the best divas we've seen in a long time, two of the most versatile, they can do a lot. They don't seem to have any fear. It's been a long time since we saw that Divas tables match. I'm hoping that at SummerSlam we get a ladder match. We get a Divas ladder match with these two. That's my goal. I think that would be badass.
That would be good.
So that's why I'm voting the way I am.
Dinosaur Lee, a comment you made about maybe leading to a new belt gave me the idea. There's probably no chance in hell of this ever happening again, but what if the feud between Paige and AJ led to the reintroduction of the women's title and the scrapping of the Divas title?
Nope. Because it's not going to be total women's.
It still wouldn't matter.
It's still going to be total. It's going to be Divas because it's total Divas. It's not no.
No, they WWE has gone whole hog with the Divas name, that phrase. They're not backing down from it. The women's title is what it was.
Yeah, we're done.
Because really, outside of these two people, who deserves the women's title?
Well, I mean, even when the women's title was in full effect, I mean, they were still called Divas back then. They were called Divas a long time before the Divas title was actually introduced.
But even when they were calling them Divas back then, they still had women who could wrestle. And they don't have the breadth in that division currently to really qualify. I would love for the women's title to come back. Don't get me wrong, Nick. I just think that they're going with their branded name. And they're going to go with that, and it's going to be that stupid butterfly title for ages.
Yeah, and like I said, I know there's no chance in hell of this happening, but I just thought the intellectual exercise was interesting.
Yeah, and real quick, let me just point out that, yeah, Joe, you are correct. Outside of maybe Alicia Fox, and that's a stretch. I don't really look at anyone else on the roster as being a wrestler. But look at NXT. You got Charlotte. You got Emma in some capacity if they actually use her properly on Raw. You've got the entire NXT women's roster. Those are all wrestlers, and they do very well, and I think they could do the same thing up here on Raw. So if they were going to do that, if they were going to make that change, AJ versus Paige would be a great catalyst for it, especially looking at the future roster.
Yeah, and look at the women's title on NXT. It is the NXT women's title.
Right.
That's because they don't have a show called NXT Divas.
It was odd that they did that too, by the way. Just to continue on that on that train of thought. Like, why would they name that the Women's Championship in NXT? No, it just seems weird.
Because they're bringing back the women's title. Yay!
Yay! All right.